colleagues and friends. Today, it is our great honor and privilege to present the first annual Connor Award to a man whose name will forever be synonymous with excellence in our industry, Larry Connor, P.E.
The Connor Award represents the highest standard of excellence, integrity, and service in the oil and gas industry. This award was created to recognize individuals who, like its namesake, have made lasting contributions to their profession, their colleagues, and their community.
Larry's journey is one of relentless pursuit of knowledge, integrity, and service, which has inspired many.
His career began with distinction as a second lieutenant in the Medical Service Corps in the United States Army, where he was entrusted with critical responsibilities at a young age, shaping his leadership style and commitment to his country.
Rising through the ranks, he retired with honors as a major, leaving behind a legacy of service, discipline, and strong moral character. His transition into the oil and gas industry marked the beginning of an extraordinary chapter.
Starting his engineering career at Amoco production company in Odessa, Texas, Larry developed an unparalleled understanding of oil and gas production operations, problem well analysis, and reservoir management.
His early years taught him the fundamentals of engineering, but his natural curiosity led him to delve deeper into technology and innovation, skills that would define his future contributions.
In 1981, Larry joined Ryder Scott, beginning a 42-and-a-half-year career that would leave a lasting imprint on the company and the industry as a whole.
From the moment he stepped into his role, Larry began pushing boundaries. He embraced the challenge of merging traditional engineering principles with the rapidly evolving world of technology.
When he arrived, evaluations were done by hand using French curves and graph paper, tools that seem archaic by today's standards. Larry was one of the first to envision how computers could revolutionize the industry, and he worked tirelessly to integrate new technologies into reservoir evaluations.
One of Larry's most impactful contributions came when he collaborated with TRC consultants on the development of PHDwin.
His deep reservoir engineering expertise and understanding of economic evaluations were critical in shaping PHDwin into the robust software it is today. Larry was a key figure in defining the user interface, calculations, and overall functionality that made PHDwin a go-to solution for engineers across the globe.
His hands-on involvement in software development, including training teams and supporting installations, showcases his dedication to equipping future generations with the tools necessary for success.
Throughout his illustrious career, Larry worked on a multitude of projects, from unconventional shale plays in the Permian Basin to coal bed methane studies in Australia and China. His expertise was not confined to the United States. It spanned continents, from deep water projects in Africa to the challenging terrains of the former Soviet Union.
His ability to integrate geological, geophysical, and engineering data was instrumental in unlocking complex reservoir problems, and his proficiency in reserves determinations became legendary in the industry. What made Larry unique, however, was not only his technical skill, but his approach to mentorship and leadership.
He was not content with being an expert in his field. He wanted to ensure that those around him thrived as well. Larry mentored many young engineers, guiding them not just technically, but ethically, instilling in them the same passion for integrity and service that defined his own career.
Larry always pressed us here at TRC to further develop better projection and economic techniques. He was instrumental in integrating flow regime identification for highly fractured wells, sophisticated economic limit calculations, universally correct incremental analysis, the development of complicated expense allocations, and proper type curve creation. A specific example was his advocacy for the use of war versus cumulative oil projection techniques in PHDwin's water flooding. Larry had the insight to see that these techniques were not limited to mature water floods.
Wherever strong water drive oil reservoirs were producing at high water cuts, fractional flow was the controlling factor. For these reservoirs, WR versus cumulative oil projection was the best predictor of future production. Curve fitting with ARPS projections simply wasn't good enough. Larry wasn't just pushing us. He was quick to support these techniques by volunteering to present the technical merits and applications at PHDwin Week.
Larry was particularly good at finding edge cases and encouraging TRC to address them. He always believed that the right answer was universally correct, and if we had an edge case, our main premise was flawed.
Good enough was never good enough. Only correct was good enough. Though this is a high standard, it is the right standard. Everything works better when the correct techniques are used. For those not familiar with his work, I strongly recommend watching the replays. Instead of keeping these techniques to himself, Larry sought to better the entire industry.
This sentiment perfectly encapsulates why we are here today, to honor him. The Connor Award is not simply an acknowledgement of technical excellence, but a recognition of selfless service, leadership, and the ability to inspire others to reach greater heights. Larry has lived these values throughout his career, exemplifying the award's qualities of service, wisdom, integrity, and leadership.
Beyond his professional achievements, Larry has been a man of unwavering faith and family values. His farewell speech at Ryder Scott serves as a reflection of his character, where he emphasized the importance of loving God, caring for one's family, and living with generosity.
His words of advice: keep pursuing the excellent way. Don't shrink back from the hard work. Press forward, be bold, aggressive, and achieve success for the company, yourself, and your family, have resonated with all of us.
Larry Connor has given our industry more than just years of service. He has left behind a legacy of innovation, integrity, and mentorship. For that, we are forever grateful.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Larry Connor to the stage as we present him with the first annual Connor Award, a symbol of his extraordinary contribution to the oil and gas industry, his unwavering moral compass, and his dedication to the betterment of all those around him.
Good afternoon. My name is David Pacinda with TRC Consultants. I am president of TRC Consultants, and I am lucky enough to be here with Mr. Larry Connor. Larry, I would like to thank you for coming all the way from Longview, and it's a long drive from Longview to here to be in our offices today. But you've gotten to watch a little presentation we put together about you. I hope you understand our sentiment and how much we respect you, and from me personally, both professionally and personally. So, to that end, though, I would like to offer some personal observations from myself. Okay. Now, one of my first observation I'm going to offer is, I want you to take this in the right way. Okay. Larry has been absolutely the most difficult client we've had. Okay. But you know what? I think that's a compliment. I want that to be taken as a compliment. Okay. You have held us to that standard. Good enough was never good enough. Correct was the only thing that was truly good enough. Okay. And I will tell you that last week, Bob Apolloni, and you know Bob well, he's our lead developer. Bob and I were working through some very difficult, and this gets very esoteric, but nested allocations on nested gels. And the thing we kept coming back to, because we couldn't quite get it. There was something we were missing. And on multiple occasions, we said, yeah, Larry's not going to let us off the hook on this. Larry might be retired, but he's still looking over our shoulder. Okay. All right. So that's the first observation. You have made me a better engineer. You have helped me understand that when you do it right, all the things that need to fall together automatically. Okay. When you do it wrong, you start going down a funny world of having to adjust and adjust and tweak and tweak and adjust. And if you remember our max Q cash flow versus first negative economics and some of these things over the years, that there's not been one, that's one that comes to mind, but there've been many where we just had to dig a little bit deeper, a little bit harder, a little bit deeper until we found the truth.
The right answer.
The right answer. But when we did, okay, magically it all fell together. Okay. So professionally, you've been fantastic and I'm greatly appreciative. Well, last night, my second observation, and this was maybe a little bit nicer, but this is something a little bit that I think is really probably the most extraordinary thing about you. Okay. Larry Connor's not only generous professionally, but he's also very generous personally. And there is something that if you don't know this about Larry, you need to know this about Larry. Okay. And he knows what I'm going to talk about because last night at dinner, okay, I was there and my partner was there and Larry was there and my wife was there. But the last person that was there was my daughter. My daughter is right now a physician and over at she's a pediatrician over at Texas Del Seton. Well, my daughter has this amazing love for Christmas. I mean, in October, I think what'd she say last night? October is when she now turns it off. But it used to be, in the middle of the summer. My daughter Sarah would be singing Christmas carols. She loves Christmas. Well, when our family was very young, when Susan and I had our first children very early on, I got an email from this man and he said, "Hey, I've got this connection to Santa. If you would like your children, okay, to get a phone call from Santa on Christmas Eve, please fill out this information." And you had to give him the location that you were going to be and a little bit of background about your kids and the phone number to call. And lo and behold, and Christmas at our house is absolutely crazy. And Christmas Eve is, we've got the Fulfords, which is my wife's family, and the Pacindas, which is my family. And Christmas Eve is always anarchy because the families are large. They get together. There's all kinds of craziness. Well, we're down at my mother-in-law's house and the phone rings. And who is it? My mother-in-law picks up the phone. She laughs and smiles a little bit and looks to my oldest daughter, Sarah. I'm not sure how old Sarah was, but she still had the Christmas magic. And she looks over, or my mother-in-law looks over at Sarah and goes, "Sarah, you have a phone call." Well, you're a little kid. Who gets phone calls if you're a little kid on Christmas Eve? Apparently Sarah did. So Sarah comes over and the conversation from our side goes something like, "Yes, Santa. Yes, Santa. Oh, he's okay, Santa. No, it's good, Santa." And this conversation goes on for a little while. And then her eyes are as big as saucepans and she's just absolutely, gobsmacked, I guess is maybe the word. I don't know. Flabbergasted. So then she looks at Michael and Michael comes over and she gives this and gives the phone to Michael and Michael's eyes get really big and he's like, "Yes, Santa. Yes, Santa. Oh yeah. Yes, Santa. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was really good." Okay. And then the phone call comes to an end. Well, the aftermath of that was all the cousins running around going, "You talked to Santa? You talked to Santa?" This has become a very big story in our family. It's told every Christmas Eve when we meet at my mother-in-law's house for Christmas. Okay. Now, I've told this to Larry and he knows this is in our family, but the amazing thing about this is not that he did this for us. That's not, they did it for me. Okay. Or my children. The fact that he has been doing this for, and let me get this right, Larry, how many years?
32 is the
32 years. I knew it was in excess of 32 years. And I know that the spreadsheet I saw had a lot of names on it. So Mr. Larry Connor on his Christmas Eve took the time to make, 10 to 30 phone calls out of his Christmas Eve to help other people. Okay. This is a man who's not only generous in our industry, he's not only taking care of his clients with every bit of integrity that he could. He's been good to us. Okay. I am one vendor of many vendors that he has dealt with. Okay. We're helping, and I know he's helped a lot of vendors. Okay. But he also, on a personal side, has that balance. And that's an unusual thing. That's an unusual thing for people, okay, to be able to have that kind of balance in life. I would like to strive to have that kind of balance in my life with my family and my professional career. And for him to be a mentor to me, whether he realizes it or not, okay, to be a little bit of a mentor for me and give me a standard to live with, I'm better for it. So to that end, and I want to say this correctly, okay, I'm honored, okay, I am personally honored to be able to give this award. Let's see if we get this right. On behalf of not only myself personally, not only TRC Consultants, but I think I can speak for the industry itself. So Larry Connor, here's the Larry Connor Award. Now, the thing I want everyone to know is that this award has been named in his honor, and we will give it to a deserving party every year, and so it will carry his name further. So, Larry,
wow, this is truly an honor. It really is. You don't know how much that something like this means to me personally. Working with TRC in the past 25, 30 years we've worked together has been an honor. But what's more important is that we together can help the industry to do better, to go further, to get that right number, to advise our clients. It is that which we can work together, collaborate to come up with that right answer. So it's really important. And I'd like to say I truly appreciate this. You're very kind. And to be recognized by your colleagues and by your coworkers is just one of the greatest honors anybody can have. And I am very, very appreciative. But none of us got where we are on our own. As you know, we have all had support along the way. Support came from our parents, who encouraged us and supported us. And we all had professors at school that challenged us and moved us forward in our thinking. We had mentors in our workspace that helped us and promoted our abilities and challenged us and helped us grow. In my personal career, I've had the honor and I've been blessed by some of the brightest minds in the industry. I've had the opportunity to learn from some of the best people in industry, in academics, and working colleagues. Some of those names: John Lee, Tom Blassingame, Larry Lake, Pete Rose, John Wright, my good friend in Colorado. But let me say that some of these have been direct learnings from them, and some of it has been long distance learnings through reading their papers, challenging them, asking questions on their papers, and trying to understand it, and then applying that to my own work and challenging young people in our company, Ryder Scott, to take that information and do a better job, a more complete job. Well, I leave the audience with a couple of thoughts. You need to grow in your knowledge, expand your horizons, and never forget the basics. I challenge you to develop a professional development program. specifically a professional reading program. Take the time once a week, read a technical paper, analyze it, understand it, and then try to apply it where it is appropriate. And I want you to engage with the professional societies, learn from your colleagues, ask the questions, challenge your colleagues, improve your critical thinking skills and your judgment. So much of what we do is about judgment. We're making judgment on data, whether it's valid data, whether it's appropriate data, and how to analyze that data. It becomes a large part about judgment. And lastly, critically review your work. Review it from a standpoint of, is it correct? Is it the best answer you can give? And what would you change if it's not correct? But I wanted to end with thank you. I am truly appreciative of everything that we've done. I've learned so much from David Pacinda. Every time we get together, every conversation, I am learning from David. He's got a tremendous knowledge in the economics from the actual performance of oil and gas wells. I learn from you and from your staff every time we have a conversation, and I do appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate that, but today's your day, okay? Because I think we've learned more from you than you have. You've, Larry, like we talked about a little bit, you've held us to that high standard, okay? That's probably the biggest lesson I've learned is that high standard. You have to have the high standard. And if you think you're doing good enough, work a little harder because you're probably not. And but as professional engineers, my wife's a physician, we're professional engineers. Anyone who's a licensed professional, we have an obligation.
We do.
We have an obligation because people, now in my wife's business, people maybe die. But you know what? Our reserve reports go on and they build the basis for money coming in from lots of different places. And these are people's retirements. These are people's livelihoods.
It is.
And it's very easy for us to forget those things and not have that super high standard. Anyway, but that's my, Larry and I share this a lot.
We have to have the ethics to do the absolute best job possible.
Yeah. And you know what? When you do that, it's actually easier.
It is.
It's actually much easier. Yeah.
And it's easier to document.
Yeah.
And there's no question about what was done.
And if you've done probably a lot of expert witness testimony. I've done a little bit, but when you have to go in and do that, it's much easier when you can have confidence in what you did and you can feel good about it. It's much easier. And
yes.
and those things catch up with you. They may not catch up with you today. They may not, that thing that's due tonight at midnight, maybe, you cut too many corners, you'll pay for it next week, the week after, 2 years from now.
I assure you.
Yeah, you assure you. All right. Okay. So, but today it's not about it. Today it's about Larry. It's about how much he has done for our industry as a lifetime achievement. So you've achieved a lot. You're now, interestingly, he's in retirement, but he's still sending those phone calls and emails and Zoom calls to say, "Hey, Dave, what about this?" I'm like, got it. Okay, yeah, right. We'll work on that. But you know what? That makes us better. Okay, that makes us better, and I appreciate it. And it's been a great run, and I'm really glad. I'm really glad to have met you. I'm really glad to have had you in my life. And there's a lot of people that I've worked with professionally that my family doesn't know about, but they know you. Okay. They know you. And you have made that other part of my life, which is so important, also wonderful. So thank you very much, Larry.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And thank all of TRC. It's been just a tremendous opportunity to work with you, and I look forward to the future. Thank you.
We do too. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Have a good